thank you again for joining us for another segment of Meet the Agent. I am interviewing today an expert realtor out of Florida. His name's Alberto Gonzalez. He also goes by AJ, and he does service the Miami-Dade area and then parts of also Broward County and West Palm Beach. So I know from speaking with you that you have worked in all different facets of real estate, from construction to now being on the professional side of buying and selling a residential real estate. So what is your favorite part of real estate? When you wake up in the morning, what's your favorite part of the day?
Well, for me, we analyze the market constantly. So we start on Monday is planning day, and planning day is analyzing what's going on on the MLS, what is expiring, why properties are not selling, what is about the bank industry, how's the rate, which now we know that the rate is they're staying for 2020 is stable. So for me is analyzing everything in real estate. First time that we do it on Monday, so we can plan for the week. So for me, that's exciting.
And I know you said that that you're an immigrant, that you came here from Venezuela about 15 years ago?
Like 20.
20. Okay, great. And so over that time, what has been the biggest thing that you had to adapt to in the U.S. Real estate market versus where you're originally from?
Well, I would say you need to be more socially adaptive, I would say, because now even in South Florida, there's a lot of Spanish speaker, but everybody comes from different culture and different country. Even if you speak the same language, everybody has a different perception. So the adaptation of the American way with other cultures, I believe those are a big learning curve that you need to adapt in your business and socially. It is I would say the toughest one.
Definitely, that's understandable. With you have a bunch of different cultures to try to, like you said, adapt and make sense of them. So, what was it that drew you into to transition out of construction and to get onto the side of selling and buying real estate?
Well, in real estate, you don't get dirty as in construction. And when I did the change, I said I need something more calm, and construction was getting me tired. There's many pieces involved in real estate in construction. So real estate it has been part of everything in the business. So I knew it from the bottom up. So it was the most best idea to go with being a real estate agent.
Gotcha. Just sort of a natural transition for you.
Exactly.
Getting into the experience of the homeowner or home buyer. Now we're getting into the 2020 market or 2020 real estate market, and you just mentioned too that we have there's some indications that the market's going to be stable for the next year with the interest rate staying the same, stuff like that. But let's say you are a first-time homeowner or first-time home buyer, and you're just getting into the market. What are some things to be aware of as you start looking around for different properties?
Well, one of the best options that we have now that is technology in real estate is that now a real professional can forecast the property that that first-time buyer is going to buy. So what happened with the value 5 years ago and what's going to be the value in 5 years to come. And those are one of the, I would say, the main things that a first-time buyer needs to know. Also everything what is involved in that property. Like for example, here in Florida, we have floating issue. So if you're gonna purchase a home, if it's in a floated zone, that's gonna elevate part of your insurance. So that elevate the cost, and those and also homeowner associations that we see a lot here in Florida, that also increase on your budget. So those are the things that you need to be concerned, and your agent has to consult for those first-time buyers.
And you touched a bit on that technology that now, you have the ability as somebody who may not be super experienced with real estate, you still have the ability to search, thousands of homes, take even virtual tours, stuff like that. But can you talk about what are some of the benefits that you would get by working with an agent versus trying to figure this all out on your own?
Well, this is, purchasing a property is the biggest investment of a human being, and I see it every time. People, even with a professional, make mistakes, because sometimes the professional cannot do anything, and people go emotional. Going alone, for me is, and I've seen it. It is crazy. I mean, it's not, you're not buying a car that, oh, I'm going to lease a car. I blew it, and you're losing $10,000, $20,000. Here, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that you might lose. And I see it. Seen it all the time. People make mistakes in a property that you buy, and the loss of making a mistake is big.
As a first-time homeowner, as a first-time home buyer, getting into you're starting to think about buying and selling, and so you're starting to interview different real estate agents. What are some indications that you have found the right realtor for you? Or conversely, what are some red flags, ways that you know that this is not an agent that you should work with? Because as you mentioned, you can even be working with a professional, but if they don't know what they're doing, then they can still lead you astray. So what are some things that are good indicators to know that you're working with the right realtor, and what are some red flags to indicate that this is not the right realtor for you?
One of the foundations of mistake that the consumer does is, most, I would say, by statistics, 75% of those first-time buyers are referred by a friend or family. And what the consumer doesn't appreciate is from their standpoint. So for me, what I'm trying to say is, for me, the foundation of consultation with that first-time buyer is the main focus for the consumer. So that consultant has to make or ask the right question and a lot of questions to the consumer to find out their needs and everything that is going to happen in the planning of buying the property. So for me, that agent is a consultant and needs to ask a lot of questions, so the consumer, the first-time buyer, will discover things that he didn't know, or he didn't plan on doing when buying the property.
Gotcha. So it's just as important that your realtor is qualifying you as that you're qualifying them. Is kind of what you're saying?
Correct.
Well, and transitioning now more into the professional aspect of it, and how you structure your personal book of business. In this day and age, you have, again, going back to the idea of technology and the fact that you can have connect with thousands of realtors at a couple clicks of a button. How do you separate yourself in this market from your competition?
What we have tried to do since this technology revolution, I would say, is that we use a lot of technology, not only for creating data for us, but also data for the consumer. And at the same time, as we see the lack of professionalism in the industry, now we get in detail what is lacking in the industry, and we offer that as a value to the consumer. So we see a lot of lack of communication. So we offer a guarantee of communication in our marketing consultant to the seller or the buying experience to the buyer. First-time buyers is everything in a presentation, what we're going to do for them, what they're going to expect from us, and everything is in writing. So we offer a complete satisfaction guarantee of service as any other professional. So because that's lacking, that's what we have done. Everything is in writing. We show them what we do for them, so it's never a surprise. It's everything is systemized as a consultation. It's the same for us. If you go to any franchise to eat, you're gonna experience the same. So for us, is kind of that vision of professionalism. So the consumer will know what we do and why we do it for them.
So you mentioned, you said we a couple of times, and I know from talking with you that you are a part of a team and that you oversee them. Can you talk about the process of assembling your team? Was it a really just organic process, or was it something that you had the idea that you wanted a team and then set about finding the personalities to fit on that team?
It's more of a need and organic at the same time. And also from the foundation. For me, I mean, an agent is distracted with paperwork. We have a lot of paperwork. So we have a transaction coordinator. When we receive a contract and we have an executed contract for buying or selling, the project coordinator or contract coordinator take everything in responsibility about that. Follow-ups, calling inspectors, calling attorney, everything is handled by one person. And I don't have to, or me or anybody in the of the team has to be distracted by paperwork because we're doing other things that is consultant, and we're not missing any paperwork from the buyer that makes everything complicated after closing. So the marketing as well. There's a marketing in the agency. So when we have a listing, we know there's one person doing everything to expose that property and sell it as fast as we can for our clients. Every agent as well. This is something that I learned and I didn't know. It was the personality of every agent. You need to know who you are, and you need to understand also who you're dealing with. So everything makes it flows better when you know who you are and who you're dealing with personality testing. So you're more effective, basically. So the team is more effective at the same time.
Makes sense. So everybody has their their agreed upon role, and that way you don't have everybody knows what they're doing. Makes sense. And when you're working internet leads with a team, what is your process? Like, so let's say you get notification right now of a new internet lead is fresh. What do you do? What's your first step?
Well, we first, now what we're doing is we change it. We used to call right away. What we do is now, and we see that as a trend in the digital world. So what we do is we ask permission by text, so we don't try to invade that person. So we text them that we receive their request, and if it's a good time to call right now or later. Also, we verified if that's the right person that they're not. No, I was just curious. So we know right away if with less invasive to that consumer, and then we start follow up as well. I mean, if they can, then we follow up with a call, and in that call we qualify what their needs are, and start planning from there. So we have I'm a big believer in system, so everybody have a checklist of what to do step by step, so every experience is always the same.
Perfect. Okay. And let's say you make that initial call, those initial contacts, and you can't speak to anybody. Can you give us a feel for what your cadence is like?
Oh, no. We do 8 touches at the beginning. From the professional side, if we text at the same time, if we don't get an answer at the same time, we test the email that prospect gave up. So we send a welcome email to test the email at the same time. We try to, for me, afternoon is a very good time when people, if they're working now, in their lunch time. So we text again because people is busy. Maybe they're not ignoring you. They're working, or they work in some areas that they cannot answer the call. So we text again around afternoon, and then we send an email, and then we call. So it is the painful prospecting side. It is painful for us, but it's painful for the prospect as well. I mean, we're trying to reach out and give a contact. I mean, we try. Like I said, every prospect is not the same. So you need to know if it's for now, it's for later, it's for the future. They were curious, how curious they are, for how long they're gonna be curious. So that's what, then you qualify what to do with them. You put it on a drip campaign, you call them once a month, and then you try to build that relationship and see that how you can help, basically, if they want to be helped.
Gotcha. And let's say, for example, they do have an interest in buying or selling, but they're not particularly receptive to a meeting with you. Can you tell us about a time that you were able to maybe flip a no into a yes, or at least get a meeting with somebody who might not have been particularly receptive when you first contacted them?
That's a very quick question. I have learned, because it is painful to follow up when you don't need to follow up. I mean, there's time. I mean, you need to read that person if it's good to follow up or not. I mean, when you put yourself as a consumer in other industry, and for sure you were looking for you were just curious, looking for a Ferrari. I cannot afford a Ferrari. It doesn't matter if you follow up with me for 2 years. I'm not gonna buy a Ferrari. So you need to read and learn to know if it's worth it or not. My last coach 3 months ago taught me that. I mean, you need to know who you are following up, if it makes sense or not. I mean, I'm gonna sell, but I'm gonna sell in 5 years. You're not gonna follow up with that person because now you have let's say 10 people to follow up that they're gonna sell in a year. So that guy in 5 years, I mean, you can put it there and put in a note and calling in a year before and see what happened. But it doesn't make sense. You need to know who to follow up or not. And you need to read that. And that's why you need also to win that. I mean, that's why social media is there. So people will see you, and then you can touch bases in some other way. I mean, follow up me in my blog. Did you saw my post talking about what's happening in the city? I mean, whatever it is, you need to build that relationship, even if because even if that person is not a real buyer, they have friends and family, and they can say, hey, this guy, I'm following this guy, and he's authentic, or he talk about this, and even if that person is not the real guy, it might lead to something good.
So you talked on you touched briefly on the fact that you have recently enlisted a coach, and I think coaching and mentorship is one of the most kind of overlooked aspects with realtors. So someone with yourself, like you've been in the business for a while, you know every facet of it, and you know your area and everything like that. But what are the benefits of somebody with your knowledge, still working with a coach? What do they bring to the table that you might not have just working on your own?
For me, I consider myself a very smart guy, and I never thought of coaching. But with real estate, I never understood those people doing 300 transactions, 600 transactions, 200 transactions, and they were paying a coach $1,000 a month. I couldn't understand. Then I started research about that, and everybody has a coach. I mean, and mentors, Warren Buffett, and all these big guys that we know, they had or have a coach, a life coach, a business coach, and I really understood when I with my first coach. That I paid, and I understood the change that I didn't know. There's things that you don't know on the business that you're doing, and for me, that's why real estate has been. It's not easy. It could be. It's simple. It's a simple business, but it's not an easy. It's not an easy. It's not an easy industry or career or profession. I don't know how whatever people can call it, because you need to know how to sell. You need to know how to sell yourself, and you need to how to influence the other side. You need to when you're the listing agent, you have to influence the other buyer's agent, and their clients. You need to know what to say and how to say it. So coaching is fundamental for me, for any career. I mean, and for real estate, I have seen people with 10 years in the business, and they don't know what an script is. The basic of Mike Ferry, let's say, those are old. And people haven't seen it in 10 years. I said, well, those are really bad agents. What are you doing here?
What would you say to agents who are just getting into internet leads? Because I think when you first get into real estate, usually your book of business is going to consist mostly of your sphere of influence and referrals. And internet leads are very different than having a referral from somebody who knows you. So what would you say to agents who might have experience closing transactions but are new to internet lead generation? What are things to keep in mind while you're working those, and what are some things to think about?
You need to know what you're doing, and you need mentorship, because a script for online leads are different. The script, the follow-up, the mindset behind that is different. So you can waste your money looking, oh no, it doesn't work, because it's not that online leads is, oh, here's our 100 leads and those are business. It's not like that. So you need to know what you're doing, and you need to know the script for that and the process for that. That's why teams are now the trend in real estate, because it's the easiest way for the new agent and even experienced agent that said, oh, I'm 5 years in the business, and I'm not making money, I'm doing 50,000 a year. You need to get into a team and get a mentor and have processes. You need to have the system. You need to know how to say things. It doesn't matter if I give you my scripts. If you don't say it the way it is, you're not going to be successful. I have seen it all. I mean, and I still be surprised of people, even with a script, and they pay coach, but you don't internalize what you're doing. I mean, you're kind of robot. Here's the script, call and say this. You need to internalize that script. The script is just a guide of what to say to discover things. But you need to say it as you mean it. It's not like, hey, how you doing? You need to make that connection. That's basically what real estate is. And that's why there's no technology that's going to change what we do. I mean, you can, there's not robots that's going to change a human being to doing a transaction. You need to make that connection as a friend, as a family. And you need a mentor. You need to be in a team.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think teams are really vital for, like you said, learning the processes, because you'll have the benefit of the transactions you do, but also learning from the transactions that all of your teammates do as well.
Yeah, because the agents, I mean, you need to take out those, the transaction side of what the industry came for. I mean, if you're in a team and you're 50%, you're making 50% of something and not 100% of nothing. If you're alone and you're making $50,000, you're bad. I don't know how you say mediocre, but it's bad. So you can make the first year 50,000 in a team because you generate a lot of business. Now you're in a system and you're accountable to other people. Then you grow like that. Then you help make $100,000 and like that. Of course, the team has to be also the right team, but then it's part of discovery.
Yeah, and I think accountability is a really important part about that also you get with teams and mentorship, is that because most of us, we know the right things to do, but it's just a matter of actually doing it.
Correct. Because one of the things that real estate is that you have freedom. But if an agent work from home, you're not gonna be in pajamas all day. You have to change, you have to go to the office and dress up. And even if you stayed at home dressed up, you don't know when you go out, and you need to be like any work. You need to take it seriously. No pajamas, no, oh, I don't feel like today, it's raining.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Alberto. It was a real pleasure speaking with you, and I definitely appreciate you making the time in your busy schedule to share some of your knowledge and experience in the real estate industry.
Now, thank you for inviting. It was exciting.